Hello, Dr. Greg here with another video on the research about exercise and our brains and what it does for our brains. So what I want to just review that we can't just do one little exercise and expect our brains to be healthy. It actually takes three forms of exercise. One is aerobic exercise, resistance exercise, and mindful exercise. Now, what I'm going to go through is break down with these videos. We're going to have quite a few more, but what each exercise actually helps with terms of your brain. So to review or to look at what happens to our brains as we get older, I wanted to just go through some little facts. Now, there are areas of our brain called white matter and gray matter. And white matter and gray matter need to be in abundance in order for our brains to work normally. So what affects our brains the most as we age, or what areas of our brain are affected the most, is the frontal lobe, which is right here, and the hippocampus, which is right down here. Now, these are very important for reasoning, memory, learning new things, functioning normally, socialization, all that kind of stuff. So when we age, normally, this is what they say is normal, is that we lose 1 to 2% of our gray and white matter every year we age. They say that's normal. So when you, let's say for instance, you went and got yourself a MRI or an image of your brain, and you're 60, 62, 63, and the doctor says, oh, it's normal aging, you're fine. But you have a little memory loss, you're like, I don't feel quite right, a little imbalanced, stuff like that. So, but they tell you, oh, it's normal. I don't think it is normal. I think it's a product of what happens to us over time when we are not active. So what happens then, let's just review, is that as we age, we lose 1 to 2% of the white and gray matter in our frontal lobes and our hippocampus. Now we're going to talk about what the hippocampus does, and it is central in terms of cognitive decline. It's central in dementia, it's central in Alzheimer's, and there's a lot of reasons why. One is something called neurogenesis, which we're going to go and talk about into another video, and what actually promotes neurogenesis. So, what I want to talk about in terms of what certain exercises affect certain things, there is something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and I've talked about this before, but this research actually emphasizes it. Now, brain-derived neurotrophic factor is very important for your brain to function normally, to clean it out, to make it grow, to create new cells, to make sure things are functioning normally. Electrical impulses and stuff in your brain are clean and doing the job they're supposed to do. Now, brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a growth factor, okay? And it is influenced by aerobic exercise. So aerobic exercise really impacts this positively. However, there are other growth factors that we need to influence, and one, they're actually very complicated. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is one of the easiest phrases you can think about. One is IGF-1 and all these kind of numbers. They're influenced by resistance exercise. So you see why both are important, not just aerobic and not just resistance. The third is the mindful exercise affects other growth factors, which we're going to go into later on. So right now, what we want to do is understand that aerobic exercise affects brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and resistance exercise affects other growth factors that are important in the functioning of your frontal lobe and your hippocampus, which are both key in terms of where dementia or Alzheimer's attacks. Now, here's just a couple sidelines. One is that if you have a loss of smell actually is right around here. It is one of the most direct, it is the only direct link to your brain in terms of a function. Loss of smell is indicative of potential early Alzheimer's. The other thing is constipation. And the third is that sugar tends to cause problems with getting rid of waste in your brain, and that they're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Now that is a dietary portion, which we're going to talk about later on, but right now the exercise portion is that aerobic exercise affects brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is important for the clean and efficient functioning of your brain. And resistance exercise affects other growth factors that help repair and do all the sorts of things that your brain needs to be done to get rid of waste, to clean itself up and stuff like that. So resistance exercise and aerobic exercise are very important to do together. Now we're going to talk about what these exercises are going to look like and how you need to implement them in your life, which is very important. Here's the thing that must be understood is that our failing brains do not need to fail as we get older. There's no reason for us to have decreased volume in white matter, gray matter, or our hippocampus. If we have that, we could do things to help increase the volume or at least stabilize the volume. Now, once you lost brain cells, it's very hard to get anything back, so you're not going to be able to do that. But you could stop the decline. That's the message of this report, of this research, is that you could just stop the decline of our failing brains. And our lifestyle, and most problems we have are related to lifestyle, is the key to helping our brains stay healthy. Lifestyle is everything. So remember, health is an everyday event and an all-day event. This is Dr. Greg, changing the way we look at health.